Hey guys, it's Dr. Baker. I was recently interviewed by NBC News Al Arabiya about Elon Musk's Neuralink project. So they wanted my opinion about this topic, so I've already given that interview in Arabic. I wanted to cover the topic in English, at least on my social media platform. So in essence, Elon Musk's idea is to install a 2.5 centimeter chip in the brain. So basically, there are two parts of this procedure. One is drilling the skull in a small portion, and the second part is the drilling part of the skull is done by a neurosurgeon, and the second part is installing that chip that has very fine threads that are thinner than human hair. That part is done by a Neuralink robot. And where it's done is basically to target the areas that they want to treat. For instance, his plan is to allow people who have been paralyzed from spinal cord injuries to walk again or to move their limbs again. In order to do that, there has to be three separate chips installed. One on the right side, which would control the left side movement, and one on the left side, which would control right-sided movement. And third chip has to be installed below the spinal cord injury. In a typical setting, a person who has spinal cord, in a normal person, if I wanted to move my fingers, that signal goes from the brain to the spinal cord in the neck, to the nerves in the arms that activate the muscles that allow you to move your hands. In a patient who has a cervical spinal cord injury, they can't do that because the signal goes from the brain, tries to go through the neck, but it does not go past the neck to go to the nerves. So Elon Musk's idea is put two chips in the brain and one chip distal to the area where the spinal cord is injured. So the two chips in the brain can communicate with the chip in the neck that allow the movement of the hands on both sides. Now, there have been a lot of statements made, one of which is the ease and simplicity of placement of this chip in the brain. Now, I want to just clarify, this is brain surgery. This is not changing up an engine on a Camry. This is brain surgery. So that would involve putting specific, very tiny threads inside the brain. In doing so, you are taking a risk and causing brain bleed, causing seizures, causing stroke, or causing death. Not a benign process. So doing it once, twice, and then third time in the neck or lower spine, wherever the injury has been. So it is not to be minimized. And we don't have all the data on the number of animals that have died in the process, what specific complication, and the frequency of those complications that have occurred. Another statement was made, oh well, this is replaceable. You just remove this chip that has adherent threads to it and convert the iPhone 1 to iPhone 14. I have to say that is not an easy process. Threads are supposed to be embedded inside the brain, and when you start pulling the chip along with the thread out, you can cause micro injury to the brain. That can cause further injury to the brain. And once the threads have been removed, that area is scarred. Anytime you manipulate with brain cells, you cause injury to the brain cells. The functionality of those brain cells decrease. So to assume you will easily remove the chip with the threads out, put a new chip with the threads in, and expect that part of the brain to work normally, I highly doubt that it's easy as it sounds. Now, the patent that I filed, which is using brain-computer interface, using external sources to harvest the brain signal that then communicates with an exoskeleton, which then moves the person, is completely non-invasive, does not require any type of surgery, and the type of exoskeleton would be dependent on the patient's size and dimensions and the type of injury the patient has and what function the patient wants. The brain-computer interface model, or it could be voice-activated model, or button activated using artificial intelligence to make a person walk or do certain functions that the patient is not able to do after having a spinal cord injury. I want to make it clear, I'm a huge fan of Elon Musk. He's the guy who has made a lot of impossible things possible. and he's probably one of the smartest people in our generation. And he's attempting to do things that others have failed to accomplish, and he's just a visionary. And I want to support all his ventures, and there is goodwill there, and we need to find a way to make things work. And I have no doubt that one day he can make things work, and I just don't think that this all can be done in 6 months period before you start human trial without having all this data available, at least in my opinion as a neurosurgeon. I welcome anybody who has thoughts about this so we can have more discussions. And I have my personal ideas that I would like to share with Elon Musk if there's any interest. But I'm just a neurosurgeon, and the guy is a multi-billionaire, and I'm sure he has the brightest minds around him. So best of luck, and I'm supporting you and I'm rooting for you, Elon Musk.